With the release of League of Legends Classic by Riot, a barrage of complaints poured in from veterans who played in the actual Season 3. They say Classic is just some kind of Frankenstein's monster, cobbled together from the old league and the new one. And it's not what everyone has been waiting for all this time. But what would a new player, someone who's never played the old league and has never seen runes or masteries, think of this mode? Our channel's team is someone who decided to gain some experience playing LoL Classic. She started playing League of Legends in 2018 and always plays as an ADC. Her main champion is Miss Fortune. So to start off in LoL Classic, she decided to pick a main champ as well. Thank goodness she's in the starting pool. She didn't prepare at all beforehand. She didn't look at items, and runes masteries were not even available at level 1 yet. When she entered the Old Summoner's Rift, the first thing that blew her mind was the item shop. Although there are recommended items there, it was hard for her to figure out what to build for her champ. The map itself is very dark. Even if you place a ward, the colors are still very muted, and you can't see anything. It also felt unusually slow to move from base to the lane or to another part of the map. When returning to base, mana and health regenerate very slowly. As for the gameplay, auto attacks and skill casts are very slow. It feels like the game has been slowed down several times over. She was up against Ezreal as ADC, and she didn't understand what that skill was that shot out some yellow lines. Finishing off minions in Classic is practically a form of masochism. The timings are completely different here. The damage from minions is different, and even the damage from her auto attacks is different. In regular League, she has no problems. She's long had, so to speak, a sixth sense for when to land the last hit. But here, she was completely at a loss. She was so focused on farming that sometimes she did not pay attention to the minimap and got caught in the enemy's skill shots. And of course, she didn't understand how the skills of certain champions with different kits worked. Plus, she had constant ping issues, even though she doesn't have that in a regular league. Then she noticed that the cast range of MF's E skill seemed shorter than it is now. Maybe it was just her imagination, or maybe the map is just a little bigger, so it looks like the skill is cast closer. Honestly, the first game really annoyed her. This dark map, the farming, the unfamiliar skills, the confusing items, the turrets that fall in literally a few minutes, and so on. Classic mode just didn't give her mixed feelings. It gave her nothing but negative ones. But still, so as not to jump to conclusions, she forced herself to keep playing. And so, while playing as Miss Fortune, she noticed that Ezreal seemed way too strong, and she wasn't dealing enough damage. She thought maybe Miss Fortune was just a weak champion here. So after losing the first game, she picked Ezreal for the next one. She'd already read up on what his OW does and decided to build the right items. But things still didn't get any better. She ended up facing a really annoying bot, and to top it off, a Nunu with some skills she was not familiar with. She kept dying over and over again. She did manage to get a few kills though, and by some miracle she even pulled off a double kill once. In the end, still a loss. You know, in the current league, she's noticed that ADC is a very weak role. Tanks and assassins dominate the map. She has had plenty of games where she won her lane, but no matter how hard she tried to carry the team 1v9, they still lost. All her hope rested on Classic, because she absolutely loves playing marksman. But she saw that it was the same story there. ADCs cannot carry in solo lane. They're still weak. That's just her opinion. But later she found confirmation of her thoughts, sorta kinda. In the third game, she still didn't give up and went with Ashe, but this time with her friend as support, who picked Heimerdinger. She was blown away by the amount of damage Heimer was dealing even at the early levels. He was calmly taking down turrets and minions and getting kills even though he's a support. So for the next 2 games, she played Veigar as an AP carry. But before that, she finally unlocked the masteries and slots for red runes. That's when she started looking online for recommended items and everything else. In the Veigar games, things finally took off. For real this time. The support friend also picked an AP champion. They were dealing a ton of damage. Right in the first few minutes, she easily got first blood. Farming on this champion turned out to be much easier for her than on a regular ADC. The Q ability turned out to be targeted, which she was really happy about. But the damage she was dealing to enemies completely shocked her. She was killing enemies in 1v1s and even 1v2s. She finished the game with a 14-5-3 KDA, In this game, she'd already gotten a little used to the dark map and farming. And this was the first game where she actually got a real rush, rather than just constant stress and frustration. And so as not to lose that pleasant feeling, she also picked Veigar in the bot lane for the next game. Even though her stats there were 4, 6, 8, she still enjoyed playing. Then she got curious about what was happening in the other roles. She decided to get the full picture, so to speak. In her 6th game, she went to play support as Morgana. She tried to land her Q, but it rarely worked. In the new league, she also played support a few times, including as Morgana, and she almost always landed her skills. Everything is much easier there in her opinion. In Classic, everything is so slow, so it's probably easier to dodge non-targeted spells. Plus, the damage is kinda low. The only thing she liked about playing support was the Sightstone item, which gives you 3 ward charges. And that's about it. Overall, she didn't really enjoy this role with Morgana. She's absolutely confident that if you play a damage-dealing AP champion as a support, like Nuno or Annie, it would be much better. But overall, while some folks might enjoy this role, she prefers roles where you're, so to speak, the main player on the lane. After this, game number 6, she unlocked all her yellow rune slots. And starting with game number 7, she set mid as her top priority role because she wanted to try an AP champ on the solo lane. Spoiler alert, she only managed to get mid in the very last 12th game, even though mid was constantly her top priority. As far as she guesses, everyone wants to play there. In the 7th game, she was placed in the top lane. Remembering Heimerdinger as a strong support, she picked him for the top lane. The enemy team had a double top composition, but she didn't feel any difficulty at all. She calmly farmed and took down enemies with her turret and abilities. Katarina even tried to destroy the turret, but she got hit right in the face pretty hard. Once the second turret became available, it got much easier to deal damage, and the damage output increased accordingly. Overall, she really enjoyed playing Heimerdinger. He's a very underrated champion for any role. She thinks she will be picking him, just like Veigar, all the time, no matter where she ends up. Well, probably except for the jungle, but we'll talk about that later. The game has once again made her realize that AP champions in Classic are very strong, and that they really make the game a blast to play. And after this game, she unlocked her last blue rune slots. She had enough in-game currency for almost all of them, except for 1 blue slot, because she had previously spent IP on 3 quintessences, which she can only equip at level 8. In her 8th game, she still hadn't given up hope of playing a good game on a regular ADC. This time she picked Severe. She didn't have the right runes for her yet, so she equipped the ones she had for AP champions. She chose the masteries from the defaults that unlocked at level 4, if she's not mistaken. Give or take, they're not bad. But once again, the game didn't go well with ADC. There was a crazy Vayne with Alistar, and she pretty much completely screwed up the lane. Looking at her stats at the end of the game, she thinks she's done playing ADC marksman, and it's so upsetting that it makes her want to cry. She can't play the roles or champions she wants to, and it is upsetting that her 8 years of experience playing ADC in regular league does not help her at all in Classic. So after that game, she had open slots for quintessences, and in her 9th game she went with Veigar again, but this time her support was Soraka, who was built specifically as a support rather than for damage. On the one hand, she regenerated her mana, but on the other, she dealt 0 damage to enemies. And what she realized for herself is that double AP burst bot is the best option. That way you can easily dominate. As for Soraka, she kept dying, and so did our players sometimes. But overall, she felt fine. She killed enemies from time to time, but they were losing all the other lanes and the jungle, so the game ended in a loss. But even so, she didn't feel any frustration, negativity, or helplessness like she did in the past games as a regular ADC. She never thought the ADC role would make her so annoying, because as she said, she loves playing ADC in the regular league. So for now, she doesn't know what to do about this in Classic. For the next few games, she decided to go all in. Just so you understand, in all 8 years, she's only played as a jungler once. And now in Classic, she's finally decided to give it a try. Even if she can't play well, no one will trash talk her, unlike in the regular league, where they would start doing that from the very first second. She noticed that people in Classic are actually nicer. No one even gave her a hard time for her terrible ADC games. That was quite a pleasant surprise for her. For the jungler role, she decided to pick Warwick because she'd heard he's quite strong and has no trouble clearing the jungle. And sure though, it is super easy to farm both sides of the jungle at once with him. She tried to head out to the lanes to help, but since everyone was doing fine, she just hung around nearby and that was it. Otherwise, this game just felt like an AFK stroll through the jungle. She did not have a bad impression of the role, but she did not really enjoy it either way. But well, yeah, it was a little boring. It was just that kind of match. In the next game, she was thrown back into the jungle again, even though that role was third in her queue. She decided to try a different champion, and that's when the real problem started, forcing her to tilt. Playing as Evelyn, she couldn't clear both sides of the jungle in a single run. Actually, she's only cleared 2 camps and couldn't take down the wolves because she was low in health. Even though she bought a health potion right from the start, it wasn't enough. When she returned to base, she bought part of an item and decided that was enough, so she didn't buy any more health potions, and that was a big mistake. On her way to the jungle, she botched a honey gang, and then she almost died on the red buff, but she ended up dying on the crags anyway. She just couldn't clear the jungle smoothly on Evelyn, even though she had no trouble doing so on Warwick, thanks to his health regeneration. Then she finally bought some potions, but that didn't really help. Although clearing the jungle just got a little easier after level 6, her health was constantly low. Because of that, she could not gank lanes properly, and as a result, she kept dying. All the lanes were already falling apart, and she was falling behind the enemy jungler in farm, plus she could not do anything in fights. Later, the enemy team would clear her camps, leaving just 1 unit in each camp so they would not respawn. Overall, this game really frustrated her, and she's not really dying to play in the jungle because it's quite hard for her. Well, maybe she'll only play Warwick there. But her last 12th game was finally in the mid lane, and she got a real kick out of the champion's AP. She played Malzahar, and he's just so overpowered. Whether it's a squishy champ or a tank, this champ just wipes out everyone. Because of games like this, she still wants to play Classics some more and try out other AP champs. She was also impressed by how in this game her friend played Soraka not as a support, but as an AP damage dealer. And she thought that if Soraka from her 9th game had been AP, they could have dominated. Overall, she thinks that if your entire team consists of AP champions, it's not a problem. It's actually an advantage. But that's just based on her experience. If yours is different, feel free to share it in the comments. And finally, she would like to touch on a few topics. A lot of folks say that games in Classic mode are quite long, 40 to 50 minutes apiece. But in her 12 games, the average match duration was 30 minutes. And she likes that because it does not get boring. But she doesn't understand why they have added these new features from the modern league. Those crappy new skins that ruin the whole experience of the game. The post-death stat screen on the left, the new pings and emotes. It looks cringe. As someone who's only played the new league, she also wants to dive right into that old league everyone is talking about. She's literally on the same page with the old-timers that this is some kind of incomprehensible Frankenstein. She thinks that after a while she will get tired of it and will only play the regular league. As for runes and masteries, to her surprise, they're all quite easy and simple to farm. All mastery points unlock at level 3, and from there you can create as many custom pages as you need, all for free. You don't even need to farm currency or levels for this. Although, as she is read, each mastery point used to be awarded for every level your account reached. And she wouldn't mind that system, because when you get everything here right away, you don't think. Just imagine how overpowered I'll be at level 30 when I have all the mastery points. As for runes, even though you do have to farm for them, the first rune page fills up very quickly. Somewhere around your 8th game, you will reach Classic level 8 and the last major rune slots will unlock. By that point, you will have enough in-game currency to buy every single rune for 1 page. Plus, you will have enough IP left to buy an extra new page and a couple more small runes. The rune system looks quite interesting to her, but the fact that everything unlocks almost immediately kills all the excitement. But what really frustrates and annoys her is the ARAM mode, Mayhem Classic-ish. It is an even bigger Frankenstein. This thing is bananas, guys, you've gotta admit. She gets that it's a joke about how everyone sets up an ARAM on the mid lane at the 10-minute mark in Summoner's Rift. but goddamn, it looks so cringy. She played 5 games of it because her friends talked her into it, but it makes her want to puke. There's the old Summoner's Rift map here, but aside from mid, the other lanes are blocked off by partitions. The new champions with their skins and new abilities look over the top. Old items where you have no idea what they do. And on top of that, there are augmentation for these items that you don't even know what they look like or who they're meant for. What else though? Well, you can feed Baron Nashor a candy over here, but she doesn't care about that. Honestly, when everything else here just annoys the hell out of her, she could not care less about some extra gimmicks. They would be better off making a real old school Howling Abyss map, or even bringing back maps like Twisted Treeline and Crystal Scar, because she would really love to play on those instead of this cringy adaptation of a meme. If she doesn't count that awful ARAM, her impressions of League Classic are mixed. What she definitely liked was that the games were not dragged out, and she enjoyed the AP champions. She really had a blast with them. The jungle turned out to be too difficult for her. Her role as a support is still up in the air, so let us leave that open for now. As it turns out, she just can't handle the ADC role on the lanes, because she doesn't understand what she's constantly doing wrong, even though she's actually an experienced ADC in regular league, that is. The only thing she would get rid of is those darn new skins from Classic. Other than that, it is basically playable, though she doesn't know how much longer she will find this mode interesting. Probably another week or so. Thanks for watching until the end. Do share your thoughts on the Classic League in the comments. She would love to read them. Also, if you liked this video, hit the like button and subscribe. See you in the next video.